You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and... she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees into battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round 'em up, let's go. Round 'em up, let's go.
Good evening. This is Cyber Wars. Another show, and it's like I can't get the name of the show out. This is Cyber Wars, and I have the most opulent Amish with me tonight. Hello, Orly.
It's all from Amish rake fighting. That's all my purse winnings.
Right. And I also have the most stoner brewer ever. And I hope that he's like got his audio worked out and is on with us. But if he's not, he will be. We're counting on the fact that he will be here any minute if he's not on right this minute. So So how you been? Are you staying free and clear of the Wuhan flu?
Yes, I have not been engaging or indulging in any cave sushi. I'm good. Now, best practices, keeping safe. Only going to the store when I have to.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I'm like,
And did I talk about last week the issues with how frustrated a regular
no.
for everybody involved, but with my elderly clients, normally what would be me running over to their house, a 20-minute fix, and then, getting a hug and some baked goods is now 90 minutes on the phone. Because they're frustrated and I'm frustrated because when they'll say, hey, look at your top left-hand corner and click this, they read the entire screen to me. And I can't interrupt them. So, yeah. But it's just, obviously I want them to be safe too. So unless it's an absolute emergency where their computer is dead, I've been trying to do a lot of phone stuff with them. And it is frustrating.
I remember that from phone supporting my mom when she was still around. And yeah, so that can be really frustrating because I see an X and is it below the X or is it above the X? Well, what do you mean it's not in the same box with the X? Well, where is it then? Yeah, it can be really frustrating.
Anybody who ever helped their parents or their grandparents set a clock on the VCR knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Except you said it's times like 10 times a day. So it's like that same thing, but like 10 times a day.
Yeah, but like 5-10 times a day. So, yeah, I mean, it's the curse of being in IT.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And anybody who is listening, and I haven't gotten in chat quite yet. So if you're listening and you're having a little trouble hearing Orty at the moment, I'm just doing a little bit of producing on the back end and
doing a little tweaking, are you?
Yeah, I'm doing a little tweaking. So yeah, it's all good. We'll get there.
How about Jen? Did we got you back? A little echo there.
Yeah, I heard a little echo. That might have been Jeff trying to come in, hopefully.
Tweaking or twerking?
Not, yes. I don't twerk. Yeah, I don't twerk.
I don't admit to it.
It's still like really, already, it sounds kind of silent to me. Maybe it's just that I'm too loud. But
it's because you're loud. They can hear me.
Yeah, I'm always too loud. Can they hear you okay?
Yeah, Chad just said they seem quiet, but they can hear me.
Okay.
And then I just got quieter, so stop messing with me.
Okay, I'm not messing with you anymore. I messed with me instead. I turned my...
Yeah, turn me up and you down.
I left you alone because they can hear you. So I just turned me down. So yeah. So but so this leads great into our first what I think really we should talk about first, which is the internet is broken.
It is broken, and it is going to get worse before it gets better. I was just trying to talk to a friend of mine up in Toronto today. He had, which may be part of our problems tonight too. He had total shit ping. As soon as he got out of Toronto, it nosedived, and it made online gaming problematic.
Oh yeah.
They're saying turn me up, Lou.
Yeah, I'm turning. Yeah, I've got you up.
You've got Netflix and Prime in the EU have both agreed to limit to SD instead of HD content. And, I'm wondering, I was talking about this with somebody else the other day, and that maybe people will realize what they do and don't need. You're not going to need to watch The Office in HD. You're not going to notice a difference.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
So, and Christian Toto had a great thread today, or a great post today about how this is ultimately going to affect Hollywood too, with everybody staying home and streaming. And we're going to go deeper into this on Culture Shift this week, but with everybody staying home and streaming, they're going to realize they don't need to go to the theater and spend $30 just for the experience when they have a much better experience at home.
That's always kind of my approach. That's always kind of how I approach it anyway. I mean, if I can watch something at home, I'm going to. If I think that it's going to be a short path to Netflix, I'm not going to the movie. I'm not going to the theater. I'm just not.
Well, I think of what Stars cost me a month to stream, and what I would spend in the theater if I were to go see these movies. And I mean, it's a 60 to 90 day window before it appears on Stars or whatever. And I can wait. I learned when Game of Thrones was still on TV how to avoid spoilers on Twitter. So I still don't know what happens in. Anyway, yes. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the internet is broken.
The internet is broken. It's so there. But it's not completely broken, right? So it's not gone. It hasn't gone out. And I got a text from my older sister, who's really a very smart girl. But she texts me 2 days ago. I just heard on the news that the internet was going down. I'm not, sweetie, no. It's a pain in the ass. Bandwidth is low. Things are being throttled to make room for this and that. Loads are being rebalanced, but it's not going. It's not, and the power grid's not going down, and the internet's not going down.
But that's the thing. I really think that a lot of the trouble that people have been seeing with the internet over the last week, it's just a load balancing thing, and it'll be fine. It'll actually be better for people because as these networks are being distributed to VPNs and home ISPs, that the bandwidth that's usually allocated to businesses and corporations from 9 to 5 is now going to be focused at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. I think we'll be able to get more, we'll be getting more bandwidth at home, but it's going to take a week. And then you're going to get back to the office in a few weeks, and you're not going to have enough bandwidth, and everybody's going to be upset and yelling at people like Jeff for, a couple of weeks until it gets rebalanced again. Right?
Jeff, are you here? Can you chime in on this one?
You know what I think we're going to do? Because
oh, wait.
Yay. And I think... Yeah, it's everybody's a little bit off, but I think I see what the problem is. So I think what we'll do is we'll take an early break, and then we'll come back and we'll do our other topics. So we'll just do our break a little bit early because I can look at it and see it right now. I just don't want to start moving things around while they're listening. So let's just take a little early break, and we'll be right back, and we're gonna play. This is Orty and his Amish brothers. Is the music that you're gonna hear going into the break. So really, it's Dead South. But we'll be right back.
I see my redhead, mess bed, tear shed, queen bee squeeze. The stage smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds, in hell I'll be in good company. Smells, tells, hells, bells, misspells, knocks me on my knees. It didn't hurt, flirt, blood, squirt, stuff, shirt like me on a tree. After I count down 3 rounds, in hell I'll be in good company. In hell I'll be in good company.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
I got Orty here.
You got me here. I'm hoping we got Jeff here.
All right.
I might be here.
All right.
All right. Everything's coming through the right channel, and you're coming through really loud now, Orty. So I think everybody
Good. I don't need to yell. I don't need to yell anymore.
I'll keep an eye out on chat and let you know.
I'm actually turning you guys down and me up right now. So when has that ever happened? Never. Yeah. So
okay.
All right, we're good to go. So knock wood and say a Hail Mary. Hopefully everything stays this way. So, man, raise your hand if it's been a crazy month already today.
Crazy month today? Yes, it has been a crazy month today.
Right, yeah. Like I spent a week there one day, or I spent a year there one week.
They say you could probably turn yourself up a bit, Lou, because they can barely hear you.
I did, and there's a little bit of lag, so
okay.
But I'll continue to. I can actually hear it in my other ear that I am a little quiet, and I'm just kind of enjoying being quiet for a minute because, that's never happened in my entire life. But yeah, so I'll turn myself up a little bit. Because I would hate for you guys to not be able to hear me. That would be a tragedy. At any rate, I'm going to give Musket the credit for that little comment, because it's been a long time since I ever thought about, I spent a week with her one day.
One night, yeah.
Right? It's been a long time since I thought about that, but so we're probably blowing everybody's ears off, so I'll give you guys a minute to adjust.
Nope, we're all good. Where you want to go now?
Yeah, we actually now, I think I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about the ransomware yet. I want to talk about the other thing that we were going to talk about, which was the data breach, the Google data, the database that somebody put on a Google Cloud. And it's like the Google mystery of the year already.
Yeah, you can't lay this in Google's feet other than the fact that it was on one of their cloud servers, but it was 800 gigabytes of personal user information with about 200 million detailed user records. Nobody knows who this database belonged to. Nobody knows what it was attached to, but it had full names and titles, email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, credit rating, home mortgage and real estate addresses, including the exact location, demographics, including numbers of children, genders, detailed marriage and tax records, and detailed data profiles, including personal interests, investments, political, charitable, and religious donations.
And it was so it looks like, because it has county, one thing it had in there, and what the article from Cyber News that we read actually said this, and there were people in the comments like calling bullshit on it, and I was like, that's not bullshit, that's like completely valid. It uses county codes. There's not that many systems in the world that, there's just not that many places that a county code is used. The only job I've ever had that I had to use them was in the Red Cross, and we only had to use them with our systems that interacted with FEMA.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the Red Cross part, because some of the folders that were had the data stolen was the emergency call logs of a fire department.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I wasn't going to actually mention the fact that it looks like it's something that somebody stole from them. However, I don't know, it would be really, really odd for any single office to have all 200 million census records and one county fire call logs. That would be extremely odd. So, but that was the first thing that came to mind. That's like records that we would have at the Red Cross. Is extremely odd data to be
it also
together.
Had bike share records, which was weird. It was like companies like Lyft and other bike share services.
Was it 74, 75 of them?
Yeah, 74 different bike share service user records. Like there's 74 different companies, not just like 74 people. 74 the records from 74 bike share, which I didn't know there were that many bike share companies. But apparently there are.
Right, it was their station, their station locations, right? And those stations actually now belong to Lyft, but at the time they were recorded, right? So so there's indications that it was old data. And the other really weird thing is the researchers, because it's always InfoSec researchers that find this stuff, right? So the researchers found it. And they were trying to track down an owner, and somebody wipes it in the middle. So I think they said they'd been looking at it for like a week or two, and somebody wipes it completely. And then points to, right? And so then they point it to a web page with a dancing pirate that says, "Fix your security."
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's...
yeah.
I mean, okay, the reason why it makes me think that it wasn't a governmental hack is because it didn't have social security numbers attached to it. So this was either a massive compilation of data. So we always hear about how on the dark web there are databases full of our data that are just waiting to be used. For somebody buys $1 per pays $1 per record for these things.
Right.
So if SSN numbers were in it, I would have said that this was a government hack. But without those in it, this is just like an uber culmination of dark web data.
Well, yeah. See, I don't think that. I think someone got a hold of a charity's information, and I don't, it would be extreme, it would not only be odd, it would be unheard of for any single Red Cross office to have all 200 like census records, right? So I just want to go ahead and say that I definitely think that it did not come from the Red Cross. Whoever they took it from, they didn't take it from them. Could be wrong about that, but I don't think that that's where it came from. But some charity somewhere that does disaster relief or works with FEMA or something had these records for a reason, right? And the reason I think it's a charity is because it had donor information, right? So it's
but
almost,
also but it had political information and religious donations in there
so
too.
it could have been a PAC, right? It could have belonged to a PAC, or it could have, it could have been, actually, it could have been one of those, like, scam organizations that call you and say, we'd like for you to give to the Super Duper Firefighters of America Foundation.
Right, but we're talking 200 million user records that had political and charitable and religious donations in it. That's what makes me lead towards this was a putting together all of the data that's ever been stolen. I mean, because
I think
there's 200 million people in the United States. Yeah. That's almost the entire population of the United States.
I actually think that someone took it and not necessarily hacked it, but maybe an insider from somewhere took it and put it where they put it, right? And I do think that it came from some organization, a legitimate organization or a scam organization, or it came from some organization. But the very, very odd thing is the two odd things are the lift stations and the one county. It was one single county. Fire call logs.
I want to step in here in a second on this fire. There is one thing that pisses me off about it. The call logs from the fire department included dates, times, locations, and other emergency call metadata dating as far back as 2010.
Yeah. Yeah, it was old data.
Why are they holding on to that information as far back as 2010?
The dancing pirate said, "Fix your security." He was making a really good point when he said that.
Yes.
Right? So the article makes the point that maybe it was a white hat hacker that, and this doesn't qualify as a white hat in my book necessarily. Maybe I might call it a moral fag, because instead of selling the data or using it to steal people's identities, they put it up there just long enough for someone to find it and then they wipe it, right? So they're not going to do anything bad with it, but they kind of act badly in proving a point and being kind of fag about it. But
let's talk about the size of it too. 800 gigabyte database. Now, if you know anything about databases, they are really light. They don't. They store a lot of information, and they're easy. But it's not like building a website or an operating system that's all bloated by the time you're 10% into building it. They're very light. So something that size has an enormous amount of data in it.
Right.
Can you imagine trying to do a search query on 800 gigabytes of personal user information in one database?
Yeah, you might as well just go to the bar and wait for it to finish. But
Right.
Even for 200 million records, that's an extremely large data. That's an extremely large database. Like it came out of a spread. It came out of a spreadsheet with a lot of macros in it or something.
Yeah, but it was probably Access.
Right. Well, yeah.
But yeah, a database of that size. Just to give you an example, I had a database of 10,000 people, and it was just under 1 megabyte. So
yeah.
I think there was actually more in the. I had more of it with the interface, the GUI for it, than I actually had in user records.
Now, they don't know how long it was out there. They don't know how long it had been hanging out there. They found it a couple weeks later on March 3rd. So a couple weeks before March 3rd, they found it. On March 3rd, it was wiped. So mid-February, right? So it may have been out there a day. It might have been out there a year. Might have been out there 5 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
I tell you, as someone who set up servers to handle databases of a large quantity, that number at 800 gigabytes in one data, that I can't express how much that hurts my inner being.
it's almost a terabyte.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, yeah. I mean, and that's not cheap on Google Cloud services. A terabyte isn't,
Terabyte's not really cheap anywhere, honestly.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's $100. It's $100 for a terabyte drive.
Right.
Okay. I mean, they're less now, but I mean, in cloud hosting, that's not cheap.
Right. It's not even and Jeff is talking about how long it would take to do a query on it. I mean, it might take an hour to delete all that data.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like delete and it's gone. I mean, it takes a few minutes to delete all that. So,
and for the record, the database is still in place. It's just empty now.
It's empty and it points to the dancing pirate.
Right. Which makes me think of the dancing pirate from Archer. Anyway,
yeah.
Some of our listeners will get there.
Yeah, and so I mean, just in case you're not, like really up on hacker culture, it's a pirate. Pirate images are really big in hacker culture, so they're it's not it's not unusual at all for especially a black hat to use a pirate image but even a gray hat or a white hat to use a pirate image. I just got that
10-hour LOL LimeWire video stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, somebody that's really professional, a researcher, is probably not going to do that unless they're, just really clowning around I mean, it's just, I don't see it being a researcher. I don't see it being a white hat. I mean, that's not the way white hats do it. White hats, like, contact people and send emails and lock things down so nobody can see them and things like that. And I just can't see whoever wiped it, whoever found it first and wiped it, or whoever put it out there. I can't see that being a white hat or even a gray hat. But I also, the way that it was done, I don't feel like I just don't feel like it's somebody that was going to use it to steal the data. I mean, and it almost feels like a kid, right?
Almost like they stumbled upon it.
Yeah, they stumbled upon it and they put it out there because, they're not that savvy or professional, or it's their first time, or, they're, I'm a pirate. I don't know. It's just, I know exactly. It's just really weird. The whole thing is really weird. To the point that the people commenting on the article, didn't even believe it. They're like, yeah, this sounds like bullshit to me. No, I think it's a true story. It's just really weird. So, anyway, that was our moment in internet weirdness for this week. Or maybe this month, or maybe even this year.
And once again, just to reinforce, your data has already been breached. Your job now is to mitigate the damage that can be done with it. Get LifeLock, get another service like that.
Yeah,
your data is out there. There's not. It's like I tell my customers, your data has already been breached. Your identity is not safe. Mitigate the damage that can be done with it.
It has been breached more times than a $2 whore behind your 7-Eleven.
Right. The most sensitive thing they got out of this, it seemed like, really was, I mean, other than the fire call logs, because they could have gotten some sensitive information out of that if you were somebody involved in an accident or something like that. I mean, they got the bank that your mortgage is with. They might have gotten some limited information on your mortgage, and they got your date of birth. I mean, it's
a lot of social engineering information, but it's not a lot of damaging information.
Absolutely. That's a good point. It's great information for a social engineer. And it's not something that, I mean, it's just, it's the kind of, here's the thing. It's the kind of thing that obviously, and whoever had this data taken from them, They are not the only one. They are one of many, and it's way too many. That companies and organizations leave this kind of information laying around unprotected, and they shouldn't. And the GDPR is a pain in the ass for everyone. But I mean, it is there for a reason, and it's really
we're
not.
We're gonna have to do an explainer on the GDPR another show.
Right,
not that everybody hasn't already agreed to the terms and conditions of it whenever they've signed up with a website, but still, we're gonna have to dig deeper into that one.
Yeah, and we will. We'll explain it to you. It's a law that the EU passed that makes companies responsible for what they do with your friggin' data. And so anyway, but yeah, so this was just something really weird. So let's go from weird to horrible.
You talking about Maze?
I'm talking about Maze.
All right.
So
and not the corn, MAZE.
Well,
Maze.
and it didn't get by me that's one possible definition for that. But at any rate, as if the coronavirus, Wuhan flu, was not bad enough. One of the labs in the UK and this could happen to any lab, and if they went after this lab, I'm sure they've gone after others or are going after others. But one of the labs in the UK that was poised to help with processing tests for Wuhan flu, and I'm sorry I'm calling it that, and I'm not calling it anything else. That's what I'm calling it. One of the labs that was ready to help with processing tests was struck by a ransomware called Maze.
Yeah, Maze is frequently used by a specific cyber criminal gang, and it's an extortion ransomware where they'll encrypt a little bit of data and say pay us in Bitcoin, and if you don't, then they release a little bit of your data, and they lock down some more of your data, and then it's ransom.
It is, and
it's extortion.
So when they used it, and what gang do they actually attribute it to?
Actually, that's what they're known as. The cyber criminal gang is known as Maze Ransomware.
Oh, okay.
And they use Maze Ransomware.
In other words, and just like to translate the InfoSec community and the companies and the way they do things, that means they don't fucking know who it is.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and so I know. I mean, I have my. Who else would do that?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny though is that these companies, like SC Mag and ZDNet, they all have a point of contact for these gangs. They all have an email address to say, "Hey guys, you want to comment on the story I'm doing about you?" And so I think it's kind of funny that these gangs do have a point of contact.
Yeah, they do. Well, they'll have a URL and an email address inside the ransomware, right? So they have ransomware. If you run it, which these guys know, that I mean, I have a VM that's a ransomware lab, or a malware lab, and I will actually run a ransomware all the way through until it locks up that virtual machine, because on a virtual machine you can just back up to where it wasn't infected, which you can't really do on your laptop. So that's the fun thing about virtual machines. But they all give you and part of the puzzle of reverse engineering them is to find the URL, find the contact information, and find the Bitcoin address, right? So they all have an email address. They all have their command and control server, which is the URL. It almost always an onion, right? And a lot of them at the end, they'll say, for instructions on what to do now or how to decrypt this or whatever, go to this onion address, which is a darknet site address, and 99.9% of people are going to look at that and be like, well, I'm not going to the darknet. The darknet is that's like walking down a dark alley in New York. That's the internet equivalent, and it really is the internet equivalent of walking down a dark alley in New York City. And I mean, most people don't want to do that, but every malware I've ever seen has an onion address associated with it. And they tell you at the end, go to this onion address to find out how to decrypt your files now that we've locked them all up. And it's really kind of crazy.
The annoying thing about this was just 4 days ago, Maze Ransomware and Doppelpaymer and Rook and a couple others all promised to be hands-off. They were not going to attack medical companies working on COVID-19.
Right.
Yeah, they had all said, okay, we're going to be hands-off on this. Specifically, Maze and Doppelpaymer, both of them said, we're going to be hands-off. But then Maze kind of backtracked on it a little bit, saying, we're going to lay off of clinics, but Big Pharma's made enough money and screw those guys and blah, 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 blah. So that's where we're at right now with them attacking a lab in the UK.
And the last time maybe not the last time, they used this in December against a telecommunications manufacturer in Florida, and the ransom they asked for was $6 million. How much did they ask this lab for? I didn't see that.
I didn't see it anywhere.
Yeah, there's no price tag in this one.
So there's no price tag on this one yet. But it was $6 million that they asked the telecommunications company in Florida for. So you can imagine that, that with the Wuhan flu tied to this, that they're going to ask them for at least $6 million, if not more, especially when, our Senate is, obviously it would be Parliament. I don't know if Parliament is talking about dumping a bunch of money into companies in the UK, but I'm sure they are. There's nationalized healthcare.
The one thing that stood out to me with the Maze ransomware is whoever the group is behind them, they're kind of methodical with how they go about it. Their modus operandi is to first name the company that they have the information on, and then tell them pay up the ransom. If they don't pay, they publish a small amount of that data, kind of as a proof to say, hey, look, we have it, pay us the money. And I know the current one that we're talking about now, that's about where the stage is at. And sometimes they'll keep bartering and bickering and releasing some information a little bit more, proving just how deep they have the information, trying to get the company to pay. And I know in one case, the data was put on a Russian cybercrime forum with use this information any way you wish.
Yeah, and okay, and so and everything that I hear about them and everything that I read about them, it's half instinct or 3/4 instinct and just gut feeling, but it feels so much like 41 to me. And APT 41 is one of the state actors that we went through on the show. You can go back and look at it, but from going after a telecom company to specifically going after a lab that's processing tests, right? So in Europe.
And I hate sounding like this, but their dollar amount isn't necessarily unreasonable, which makes me really think that you're not wrong on this.
Well, that's kind of the trick of ransom, though. If you make it unreasonable, then nobody wins.
Right, but I'm thinking, lesser quality, or even more like Lou likes to call them, the fame fags. Their amounts they request doesn't seem to be they know how much their data is worth that they've taken. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty accurate, if I can say it from that perspective.
Well, and I really feel like if it's not 41, that it is a Chinese state actor, and here's why. The difference in Maze and a lot of other ransomwares that you see is, and I went through, this was Joe's sandbox that I went through, and went through the different attributes and profiles and everything on this particular ransomware. And the difference with this one that you don't see, I've never seen it specifically before. It's probably out there on, at least one or two or a few others, but I've never seen it before, it has the ability to communicate with your hardware drivers. So with your system drivers. So it actually communicates at the machine level, which is, you don't see ransomware. Malware, yes. But ransomware, you don't see communicating at that lower level.
And where does a good bit of the hardware and drive?
China.
Yeah. Just the we've talked on this show before about the Asus backdoors that they rolled out in a firmware update. That was China going after a Taiwanese company. So specifically, straight after the MAC addresses that they wanted, right? So they even knew what MAC addresses they were going after, right? So,
I found interesting in the when they contacted some of these cyber gangs and who said they were going to lay off of clinics and things like that. They actually did make the point of saying, look, if our ransomware is out in the wild and you get infected with it, contact us. We'll double check and triple check you that you are actually a clinic or a hospital or something like that, and we'll give you the decryption code.
Exactly. And if that doesn't sound Chinese, I don't know what friggin' does. It's like, we're going to infect the world with this virus, and then we're going to give you all the supplies that you need to fight the virus.
If we figure you're worthy.
If we think you're worthy. First, we're going to wait till Italy. We're going to wait till 5,000 of you die, and then we're going to send you pallets of masks. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It sounds Chinese.
Yeah, it does. Can I offer up at least one bit of good news from the article that I'm reading?
Okay.
As we're talking about this, and the story goes on to say, in an unrelated incident earlier in the month, adversaries hit the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services with a distributed denial of service attack. And it was designed to slow down their computer system, but it didn't have much of an impact. So it's almost like our HHS is aware and ready, and actually was doing some good things to prevent
almost.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that last week at the top of the show. That was breaking news because it had just happened last Sunday.
Yes.
So good to know that it had no long range effect.
It's almost as if this new administration has hardened our cybersecurity. Go figure.
Or at least not giving them the passwords this time.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Maybe they have their USB ports locked this time. But
I was going to say, speaking of hardening security, you want to talk about safe VPNing for all the people that are working at home?
I always want to talk about safe VPNing and anything that comes that has to do with hardening security. I'll let you go on that one. Go, Orty.
Yeah, the thing. Okay, now with so many people working at home, the first problem is going to be that most large companies don't have, and Jeff can speak to this, don't have the abilities in place to handle more than 20, maybe 30% of their workforce VPNing.
True.
So that means that, one, everybody's going to get frustrated trying to knock on the same door simultaneously. And two, your computer at home is not generally safe. And even if you're using a work laptop or whatever, if they've let you take your workstation home with you, your network probably isn't safe. And one of the easiest thing, one of the things we're going to be hearing a lot of over the next 6 to 9 months are cybersecurity breaches due to people who already had malware on their home computer that got a ride into the VPN, that got a ride into the corporate network through the VPN.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
So when you've got your computer at home and you've got your VPN fired up and everything, try to isolate that. I mean, practice social distancing with your computer. Try to isolate for the time that it's being used at home. Don't let your kid play games on it. Don't Netflix and chill with it. Just leave it for work.
And please use a separate computer to VPN to Italy for your free porn hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully your company has provided you with a company laptop, and you don't have your company VPN, which is separate from the kind of VPNs that we talk about that are public VPNs that you rent a service on. Orty's talking about the VPN that your company has on their server, where you make a secure encrypted connection to your internal office network, right? So this is a little bit different than, just to clarify, it's different than what we talk about when we're talking about that. So there will be a way for you to, and if you're on your personal computer, that you know that you're doing this, because desktop support at work, phone support has probably had to help you set it up, or they've given you a set of instructions to walk through on your Windows machine to set up this virtual private network to your office network, where you enter your work username and your work password. Don't do it on a computer that your kids play games on, or that you visit Pornhub on, or if you do, clean it up good before you do it.
As a single dad, let me add, this applies to if your kids are at home learning and was giving a school-provided laptop. Only use it for the schoolwork. If they want to browse YouTube or play games, their tablet, their Wii, their whatever, let them use the laptop the school gave them.
Yeah, no, definitely, exactly the correct, because same thing. And the phishing scams that are going to be going out now are going to be unbelievable, because everybody's going to be out in the wild with their computers. And, like corporate VPNs, school VPNs, they're all going to be compromised easily, much easier than normal. And this is going to be a headache for IT professionals for the next 5 years.
Why do you think I had wine shipped to me?
Yeah. So, while you're at home, please isolate whatever computer you're using for work and school. Because you wonder, we were talking about that database that had 200 million entries in it. That's how they get you.
Yeah, that's exactly how they get you. That's how they get stuff like that. And
that's how they get us, because you work for Home Depot at the corporate level, and you're at home doing your Home Depot things on your computer, and your security breach, now my credit card number is breached, my shopping habits are breached, my address is breached, my name is breached. Thank you very much.
Right. And I really like the way Orty put it when he said, practice social distancing with your home computer. Clean it. Be extra diligent with your antivirus. Clean it up really good. If you are having to use a personal computer to VPN to your office, get your kids' games off of that. See what extra programs they've downloaded. If you need any advice, I mean, you guys know that you can always shoot me a DM and ask me a question. How do I get rid of all these stupid programs? It's really pretty easy, and I'm happy to walk you through it, right? So I am your personal technical support. No, but really, I mean, it's easy enough to do that. I can send you 2 screenshots and you can do it. And if you can't, then I can show you how to do a reset and get every friggin' thing that they've put on there off. before you use it with your office, because you don't want to be, when they start tracking down where the breach came from, you don't want it to get tracked back to you. I promise.
We've told you about Malwarebytes enough, especially when it's been on sale.
Mm-hmm.
Malwarebytes is really good. I mean, not just for malware, but getting rid of those potentially unwanted programs too, the PUPs, PUPs. They, that recipe toolbar that's on the top of your browser that you don't know how it got on your computer, it gets rid of that. So, just if you haven't gotten Malwarebytes, get Malwarebytes.
Yep. Absolutely, I agree. It's my favorite. I made someone in my family download it on their Android today. And
that's it.
Yeah.
Mac, Android, Windows, it does it all.
Yeah, it does it all, and it's the best free solution. Bitdefender is good as well, but Malwarebytes is probably a little bit better. And we say, the reason that we say that, because I know that you're smart people, right? Because we're Kim Commando for people who know how to set up a printer. So I know you guys are all smart enough to know how to set up a printer. So they keep their definitions up to date. So when a new malware comes out, they will have it in their free databases. That everything that gets added to their database gets added on both sides, free or pay, right? So you don't get an extra special malware database when you pay for it. You get it whether you're using the free version or the pay version, and they're really quick about it. So, if it's not in their threat database and they don't find it, it's probably not in any other either, and it's not in one that you're going to pay for. So those are a couple of good ones. Malwarebytes is the number one that we recommend for that. So I think,
and seriously, when it's on sale, like a Black Friday sale or a back to school sale or whatever, grab it. Pay for the year. It's so worth it.
And it's not expensive. Neither of them is expensive, and Malwarebytes has a lot of great real time. I actually have I have the pay version for mobile devices. When I get a call from if I get a spam call, a robocall, it will say Malwarebytes suspected spam. I don't answer it. I just hit decline. If Malwarebytes tells me it's a spammer, I just decline it 99.9% of the time. It's a spam call.
And I've talked about the great bloatware that is Norton, and they also have for device protection. I have it on my Android, and I get the same thing: potential spam caller.
Yeah, and that's good. That's really great to have, and it's just a time saver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, and I've never had anybody that I know or call me and that pop up. So I'll just put it that way.
Yep.
Anyway, so we're a little beyond out of time. And I think that we probably informed you as much as anybody can stand to be informed in one evening. So
yeah, and just keep in mind, while you're at home under quarantine, spending all of your time on the computer, going down those rabbit holes on YouTube, keep in mind that the internet is just as infectious as the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can catch just as much crap on the internet, if not more, as you can in a doctor's office or, a strip club.
Yeah, because you'll go places on the internet you won't go in real life.
Right, exactly. You're gonna catch as much on Pornhub as you're gonna catch in a strip club, or just extrapolate out from there.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Now you tell me.
You should have asked. You should have asked. All right. Well, it's been great, and I tried to get in chat, There's so many things going on the deck when I'm trying to do two things at one time, but I heard Orty typing, so I know you're in there. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in, and we love you guys. And tell them where they can find you, Orty.
They can find me as Orty Packard on Twitter. This week, they can find me on FooBar, One Nation Under Foo, on Wednesday. I've heard rumor that if Dan is off again, that I may be doing the bulk of the Chat Lives Matter night with Rick. On Thursday is Culture Shift.
Excellent.
Next week they can find me right back here with you two, and there we go.
Yeah, and you know, we won't tell Sam, but this is your favorite place. How about you, Jeff? Tell them where they can find you.
I'm on Twitter at Stoner Brewing Co., and for the next 2 weeks, I'm pretty much going to be radio silent unless I'm asked to be on a show other than Monday or Tuesday night.
But you don't want to talk about your new thing you got coming?
Well, I'm hoping on the 28th, if I can find a place to host the podcast version of it, I'll be doing In the Crease Baseball Edition. I'll at least be streaming on Twitch at Palside Monk, and I'm hoping to also simulcast podcasts somewhere. But as soon as I figure that out, I'll let everyone know.
Okay. You can promote all that stuff on here, too. And, you know, I'm producing all over the place. You can catch me here on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with the Pod Divided girls producing their show. I'm back here every Monday night with my favorite fellas. Again, my favorite place. And I'm on Friday nights now with Aggie and Anti-Vodka. Just doing a fun kind of three girls trying to be funny show. And I don't know, it's kind of funny sometimes. We laugh a lot. So
it's a fun show.
It's a fun show. We laugh a lot, so we think it's funny. You never know. You might think it's funny too. So you can join us there. And of course, I'm on Twitter at Cyber War Podcast. So thanks you guys for coming. We love you so much for tuning in every week. And we will see you again next week. Have a good one. Social distance. Wash your hands. See you next week.
And your keyboard.